You know, it feels crazy to think that almost 2 weeks ago, there was this hype around the industry. We got Summer Game Fest, we got so many new announcements, new trailers, release dates, a lot of positivity, and the overall weekend, even from the previous PlayStation State of Play to Summer Game Fest to the Xbox Game Showcase, all the way to the Nintendo Direct, the sense was that it was so positive showcases from pretty much everyone. And even Xbox, for a brief, very brief moment, it seemed like things were going better, that they were actually looking up after the whole restructuring that they suffered. But, of course, that was not to last. Now, I already made a video about this, but by the time I recorded that, it wasn't nearly as bad as it is now. And it's even extended beyond Xbox. So I thought we can go over what's actually going on, how the bloodbath seems to be starting right now, and how things are not so great across the street. So let's get into it. I already pretty much went over in my previous video about the Xbox allegedly firing a lot of people, the layoffs, all of that. But even at the time, I underestimated how bad things were actually going, because while I thought that Xbox's strategy was probably not the right call with the time they have, I'll be honest, I think that if they don't do something very drastic, and apparently they're doing it, they won't make it to the next generation. I already talked about Compulsion Games, how they're getting laid off. Who knows if the studio will remain, but a lot of people are getting laid off. And also Ninja Theory. But those two stories have become way worse by now. So South of Midnight allegedly cost up to 100 million. And apparently it sold around 500,000 copies. That is insane. Listen, okay, if you want to put politics in the game and make some artsy story, award-baiting game, it's great. But how in the hell do you spend $100 million on this? And listen, it's not to throw shade at the game. I think it's fine. It's not my cup of tea, but I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's particularly bad. But it's a more niche game. And I'm sorry if this sounds bad, but when I look at this game, I don't see 100 million. Where are they? When I play Cyberpunk 2077, and I only bring it up because I've been playing it recently, and you tell me, oh, this game cost, I don't know, $400 million to make, I'm like, okay, I can see that. When I play Death Stranding, and you tell me, oh, this game cost 200 million, oh, yeah, makes sense. But when I see South of Midnight, and you tell me this game costs $100 million, I think, what? I mean, it has to be bonuses for the CEO. I'm sorry. Seriously, I'm sorry. I don't see it. I don't see it. Also, The Outer Worlds 2, allegedly, also had a budget of around $100 million. Now, again, I don't see the 100 million, but with The Outer Worlds 2, I mean, it's a bigger game in terms of scope, so it's like, oh, maybe I can buy it. Also sold around 1 million copies, so not very good. And there is the other story. I talked about Ninja Theory, how they apparently getting sold, and if they cannot sell them, well, they might just get it as a tax write-off. But it's so much worse. Not only they announce the new Hellblade game, which is called Senua, I believe, on Xbox Game Showcase. And only days later, they were told that they were getting layoffs or they were getting sold off. But it's not even that. The reason they made them show it, it was to up the price, to see if any potential buyers will come to buy the studio. They made that decision to sell or to shut it down probably weeks ago. So, oh my god. On top of those, now we have reports that apparently layoffs at Cinemax Media have begun. So Bethesda, ID Software, Arcane, and Machine Games potentially being affected. So don't think it's only the small studios that we have them make games for award season. No. Bethesda and ID Software. ID Software already announced a new DLC for Doom, The Dark Ages. Apparently, they're also getting layoffs. Bethesda, who is probably one of their biggest studios in terms of their IPs, the crowds their game get, and the rumor was that they were going to push forward with their main brands. So Fallout, Elder Scrolls 6, probably they got a spank in the ass telling them to speed up Elder Scrolls 6 and a new Fallout game. But they're still apparently getting layoffs. So listen, you can be harsh as a company. So Asha Sharma, the CEO of Xbox, could come with a chainsaw, which is apparently doing, and start laying off everyone. But if you're asking one of your biggest studios, okay, you guys need to put up your A game and get me some games that can get me, a few $100 million, and a few days later, just say, okay, you guys, you're getting layoffs. I know Bethesda makes more games than just those brands, but it is crazy. It is crazy. Jason Schreier, he shared some new details about it the other day. He mentioned that studios already affected are just the beginning, and that more changes are coming, and many decisions are still being worked out. So according to him, several studio heads are still in talks with Xbox. Some studios could become independent, like Ninja Theory, that apparently they're trying to sell it. For some of those studios, those are the only three choices. Either you buy out the studio, so the studio heads or the developers themselves, I don't know, could potentially buy out the studio and become independent, or they find someone to buy them, or they're gone and just become a tax write-off. It is very much dire. Listen, when I made the video, it was a negative prospect, but it's only been like 3 days or 4 since I recorded that, and everything is going to hell. Also, there is another rumor. So, Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming claims Gears of War EA's budget could be upwards of $400 million. What are you doing? Xbox, hey, Xbox, what are you doing? I understand that amount of budget has already been spent. It's not even the new leadership's fault. Those problems already came from before. Okay, despite the fact that it became apparent and quite public since then, these problems were already behind them, and they still spent $400 million. Now, it's a Gears game, the first one since Gears 5, which was 2019, I believe. So there is hype for it, especially with the Xbox community, and I believe that pretty much any Xbox owner that even mildly likes Gears of War, it's going to buy the game. However, I'm not sure if this is coming to Game Pass. If this is coming to Game Pass day one, they're okay, I don't know. Haven't checked. Maybe I'll check it while I'm editing. Back in the 360 era, when Xbox was pretty strong, sure, I could bet a Gears of War game could sell easily 5, 6, 8 million copies relatively quickly. But now, I don't know. What they got going for them, the game looks good. But this game is not going to be a massive success unless it sells like 20 million copies relatively quickly, because they need the money. God, this is so much worse. Okay, so and this is news every day. Every day we got new studios being told that they're being laid off. So we know everything in Xbox is crazy. But while it is a hell of a lot better across the street, things are not particularly great either. For Team Blue, apparently, Embracer Group has reported that some analysts believe that Sony is considering pushing back the debut of its next PlayStation console from 2027 to 2028 or 2029. This is one of those things that is easy to believe. Listen, I'm going to make a wild guess, and this also applies to Xbox next console. The problem, as we are all aware, if you're remotely connected to PC gaming, hardware, or console gaming in any way, prices are crazy. And the companies know this. And PlayStation, same as Xbox, if they make the console now, remember, you need to make a lot of consoles before the release. So you're going to have to buy the components, to start production. If they buy them right now, the PS6 is going to be $1,500 easily, which is insane. Okay, I want to make that clear. It's insane. Also, I found this hilarious. SanDisk has announced a new series of officially licensed SSDs designed for the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. So this comes from Sony. The top end 8 terabyte model, which is more than probably you'll ever need for a console, is listed at $2,959.99. $3,000, which is at a 20% discount from its $3,700 MSRP. So the price is roughly 3 times the cost of a current PS5 Pro console. The Optimus GX Pro 850p lineup comes in 1, 2, 4, and 8 terabyte. Current pricing after launch discounts is $380 for the 1 terabyte one. I want you to keep this in mind. The PlayStation 5 launched at $500. That's the price I paid for mine. Way back when it launched. Well, no, actually, like almost a year later, because there was insane scarcity of it. But this is roughly 80% of that price. The 2 terabyte model, okay? And I do have a 1 terabyte model on mine. And I bought it for like $100 on sale shortly after I bought the console. The 2 terabyte model, it's $760. Are you kidding me? The 4 terabyte, it's $1,500. I'm sorry. Listen, okay, who's gonna buy this? No, seriously. Okay, you can let me know in the comments, but who's going to buy this? If you have a base PS5, the 2 terabyte model is already more expensive than the console, and anything above that is more expensive than a PS5 Pro. Listen, I know games are heavy, but 1 terabyte, you can very much make it work. How many games do you play on a regular basis that you need with the internet speeds that most people have these days? Do you really need more than 1 terabyte or the 800 gigs that the console has? Because I don't think a lot of people can. I know it's annoying when you play maybe sometimes. Okay, maybe you play Battlefield 6 occasionally. That's a heavy game. Maybe you play Fortnite occasionally. If you want to install, one of the Helldivers 2, that's another, 70, 80. Yeah, it catch up fast. You can play 3 or 4 games at the same time, but at worst, you can simply, okay, sure, well, I'll play it later and I'll install it later and I'll delete this one. It's not so crazy that you're going to spend this much money. This is absolutely crazy. I think that they have to push the console launches further. And it's not for the companies. It's for the consumers. It's for you and me. Listen, if you are someone like me and you like to have your console, own it, have it in your house, have physical games that you can put in it so you can actually own them, this is the best thing that can happen. Because if they start making them now, it's going to be one of 2 things or a combination of both. Either it's going to be so prohibitively expensive that the amount of people that are going to buy it on day one, it's going to decrease quite a lot, I believe. Either that or I'm putting too much faith in humanity. Listen, the other, and this is much, much worse, the consoles could go into another direction. Cloud computing and renting. You see, for someone like Xbox, is something that I can clearly see them doing. They can push cloud computing much harder because they can use the data centers they already have for AI to use them for cloud computing, which they already do to some extent, but I'm talking about integrating it into the console itself, which will be horrible. Maybe half the power of the console, it's in the cloud. You can have it that the hardware in the console maybe equals a Series S, so you can barely play any games. I mean, by the time the new generation, I'm talking newer games. And then if you buy a plan and you connect to the cloud, you get more power. So you can play more demanding games. As I'm saying it, it sounds like some crazy, futuristic, awful thing. But the more I'm saying it, the more I'm thinking, oh shit, that is actually very plausible. Also, renting the consoles. They could rent you the console simply as that. We already had this bullshit that NZXT tried to do with renting the PCs, with options to buy it. It was borderline a scam. The same, but with consoles. And I can understand it from the point of view of someone. It's the same principle with Game Pass. Oh, I just want to play one game. It's on Game Pass, so I'll pay 1 month and I'll play that game, and then that's it. Oh, I just want to play this game. I'm going to rent the console for 1 month and then I'm going to return it. I get the practicality of it. But if you can never own the console, new generations have forgotten. Listen, you know how many games I've played back in the day? Old games that I owned, that I found. Oh, look, I had this one. Yeah, I'm going to play it. So I plug it in and play it in my old PS2. I understand it, and that's what scares me. Because it is something that for a lot of normal people, it's going to seem very practical. And to some extent it is. So they're going to give up part of their ownership of the shit they pay for just for a little more practical. I wish we could have them all, but I know the world and I know these companies. And if they can simply charge you a fee for renting the console, they're going to do it because they're going to bank on people that simply keep it. And after 2 years, you've already paid the console twice. And there's one last thing. There is also reports that suggest Bungie could face major layoffs in the summer. According to French journalist Sylvain Trinel, I'm guessing, as many as 50% of the studio's employees, including full-time and contract workers, could be affected. So they have around 800 employees after the previous layoffs, which they got not so long ago. And listen, we have to be clear, okay? After they announced that Destiny 2 was going to end of life, this became a fact. They were going to get layoffs. We don't know how many people they need to maintain Marathon, but because they're not making Destiny anymore, they don't need to make more content to it. It's just going to get minor bug fixes that show up that can be done with a skeleton crew. And they don't have active projects right now. Marathon most likely requires much less people than Destiny 2 in order to make content for it. Apparently, the cuts are linked to the end of Destiny 2's development, of course, and the problems surrounding Marathon. Marathon cost them a lot of money to make. Reportedly, 250 million. It's not in a good state. It can be successful if you can maintain it with not a lot of money. Of course, this has not been confirmed by Bungie or Sony, so it's just a rumor. I always want to make a somewhat positive spin or try to look on the bright side, even if it's just a little bit. I tend to fall into the whole doom pretty quickly, so I try to find something positive. Even in the previous Xbox video, I thought, okay, maybe if they can do it for next gen, it could be salvageable. But after all this, I don't really have anything positive to think about it. All this. The only positive thing is, I hope they delay the PS6, so maybe we have a chance for components for prices to go down. So at least we can have a regular console and not some crazy bullshit that they come out their ass. Anyway, let me know in the comments, what do you think of Xbox? Because it looks a lot more bleak than it did a few days ago. And I will say it again of what I said in my previous video. I hope Xbox bounce back so we can actually bring competition to PlayStation, because then PlayStation does this bullshit. Marathon is one of the very few live service games that either wasn't cancelled or it wasn't shut down days after release. Because they had no real competition. Xbox didn't present a challenge. Nintendo doesn't count. Even I have a Switch and a PlayStation. So they could spend hundreds of millions in these live service bets that they have mostly lost. Which leads to shittier games and shittier products, because Xbox can get its shit together. Please. Anyway, if you made it to this point, thank you. And I hope you might consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.